especially when you become an employee of any company. So how will be the on-premise setup? In case if you become an cloud admin, how you are going to deal with it? How to install the server, given the physical machine, how you will install the server. Upon that, I will create the virtual machines. Then how you install the guest operating systems and the applications on it, and so on. At the end, you are also expected to maintain it also. Hence, I gave a demonstration on virtualization using VMware ESXi server. So another thing, upon that, I also wanted to give an demo on virtual center. That's a very huge concept. So, and you all know that I am using virtual infrastructure as we don't have the necessary infrastructure at BMSIT. So I am relying on someone else. So, and and when I say virtual center, it includes several ports. So therefore, NATing is not possible. So that is the reason. Now I know vCenter, but I'm not able to give the demo. Why? Because they are not able to give it for online. What is that? Remote login. So they are not able to facilitate for remote login.
Yes,
So
screen.
is not possible. So the whole purpose of having the virtual center is, so you will be having one data center. With respect to that data center, you will be having so many resources in that data center. And the virtual center is one place using which you can maintain all the resources which are maintained by your own company rather than the cloud, any third party or the cloud service provider. So if we, whenever we consider any company, so we need to understand two things very importantly. One is that every company will be having their own data center and their own infrastructure. Apart from that, they will also be availing services from the cloud. Okay. So any company, if you consider any small company like Sonata Software or even any big company, so obviously they will be having their own virtualization. That is
Sir, screen
compulsory.
is not visible, sir.
Huh?
Screen is not visible, sir. Can you share the first PPT, sir?
Yeah. So no, I am not telling what is there in the PPT.
Okay, okay,
I'll
sir.
share. Yeah. See, we need to understand every company will be having their own virtualization. Why? Because they don't want someone else to maintain the resources, and so that is why every company will be having at least one data center, and every company will maintain their own websites and so on. Say, for example, if I consider Wipro, so they only maintain all their applications, all their servers, everything. If we consider Bangalore branch, in one branch, they may be having 100 to easily some 150 servers. Why? Because say, for example, for just for the website, they may have one to three servers to maintain their web portal up and running for backup purpose and all. So minimum three servers they'll maintain, and to maintain the firewall they may need one server, and for database they may need two to three servers. So like that, they'll be having a number of applications. For payroll itself, they may have one server. For CRM purpose, they may have two to three servers. Like that, if I consider one company, they may need so many servers, and usually most of the times they will only maintain everything. And for development purpose, especially where they need to invest a lot of money to procure the softwares and other infrastructure, that is where they will go to the cloud model. So in that sense, now in every company there will be a department called as the IT department. They will take care of maintaining all these things, to take care of maintaining the data centers, procuring the softwares, and availing the cloud-based services and paying for them. So it's the IT department which will take care of all these things. Okay. Now, so hence we need to know about how to maintain the data center, especially how to deal with the virtualization that we are done. And also another two things we need to learn with respect to industry perception, that is cloud. You cannot okay uh, go away with cloud, or let it be a developer, tester, anyone. So at the end you will be consuming at least some minimum services from cloud. So therefore you need to be aware about two most popularly used platforms, that is Azure and AWS. So now at least you are a little bit aware about Amazon AWS, so how to avail the instances. Upon that, how to install the applications. So that you saw the demo. Now for Azure also have planned the same thing. For For Microsoft Azure also have planned one demo. So for Azure, instead of me giving a demo, one of your senior Daneshwari, who is doing sixth semester project under me. So she is working on Moodle server, Azure, and so on. So she'll be giving one demo on Friday. Friday at 8:30 we have a cloud computing class. In that class, she'll be giving demo on Azure. Okay, don't miss this class. Don't miss that class. Okay, so that's all about demonstrations. So now we'll start with OpenStack. Okay, now I'll share the screen. So as part of OpenStack, I expect you people to know what is that OpenStack, why it is meant for, and what services it will provide. So, it's also a cloud-based platform. OpenStack is a cloud computing project aimed at providing an infrastructure as a service. So that means it is aimed at, see, every cloud will target one particular service. As we know, just like Google targets on platform as a service, and AWS targets on infrastructure as a service. Similarly, OpenStack targets infrastructure as a service, and it's an open source. So the biggest advantage of OpenStack is that, as the name itself indicate, open. So it's an open source, and there are across around 15,000 people contributing to that open source project, and there are more than 100 companies who are contributing to the development of OpenStack. It's a cloud computing platform that will meet the needs of public and private cloud regardless of size by being simple to implement and massively scalable. That means you can integrate OpenStack with existing private and public cloud platforms. Okay, we'll see how it helps. Okay, what OpenStack provides? OpenStack provides virtual machines on demand. So we know why we need virtual machines. So without virtual machines, we cannot host guest operating systems and applications upon that. So that that will be provided by OpenStack, and virtual network management. So if you have a virtual network, it will take care of managing it. You need not worry about how to manage it or hiring some personnel to maintain that virtual network. You need not worry about that. That will be taken care by OpenStack. Then it will also provide storage for virtual machines and arbitrary files. Okay, storage for virtual machines, you know. So in our demo, see, I had considered ESXi, VMware ESXi server. Inside that, we had hosted the virtual machines. So that means in our case, ESXi server was providing the storage for that. Okay. So that's the thing. But in this case, OpenStack can provide the storage for virtual machines that you install, and also for the arbitrary files. You need to understand what are arbitrary files. So while giving the demo of AWS, so we downloaded some files like password related .pm files and also remote desktop files. So those are all the example for arbitrary files. Not only the uh, virtual machine, we may also have to deal with arbitrary files. For all those things, OpenStack will provide the storage facility. And another feature is multi-tenancy. The meaning of multi-tenancy is that, say you have one server and you have multiple virtual machines, and within one server you can host a number of applications. And say for example, I can host the college website of BMSIT in one virtual machine. In another virtual machine I can host the website of Saram VAT, and in another virtual machine I can host the college website of BMSC. So that means, so it's actually one server and we are hosting multiple applications. That is called the concept of multi-tenancy. So that such similar service is also provided by OpenStack. And metering is nothing but pay for how much you consume. That is called metering. And orchestration. So orchestration is nothing but synchronizing the services. And I told that, so OpenStack will provide so many services, and along with that, it will also support integration of other services provided by public cloud platforms, private and public cloud platforms. That synchronization is nothing but orchestration. Now let us look at the history of OpenStack. The project OpenStack began in the year 2010 as a joint project of Rackspace Hosting and NASA to build cloud-based operating system. So it was two companies, Rackspace and NASA, who wanted to build a cloud operating system. So hence they began the project in 2010, and it's a free and open source software platform under the Apache license. So they will use Apache license, and it's a free distribution. And the forum is actively driven by a strong open source community with thousands of developers and more than 500 companies that actively contributing to the project. So if you consider, so which are those companies, really you'll get a surprise. You can see the big names like IBM, Red Hat, who are having actually their own cloud platform. See, IBM, for example, if you can look at here, the big names like Google, Oracle, Dell, IBM, these are all the big players who are also having their own cloud platform, but still they are also contributing to the OpenStack. So the reason is that since the OpenStack is free software or a free open source platform, most of the companies will opt for it. That is obvious, and they want to see that their own cloud platforms, say IBM Cloud, want to integrate with OpenStack, so that so there will be a market for both IBM and OpenStack, and the same strategy is being followed by Google. So that means now this OpenStack also supports for Google APIs. Similarly, the Oracle, Dell, and so on. And so far, 15 releases have come out of this OpenStack project. It has seen 15 releases. And look at the OpenStack architecture. Okay, here the components which you can see in gray color, they are nothing but the components of OpenStack. So Glance API, Glance registry, database. So later I'll explain all these things one by one. At the same time, you can see some other components: Nova Compute, Nova API, queue, and here you can see one component called as the queue. That is nothing but the OpenStack messaging queue. Say for example, if any now for example Nova Compute wants to communicate with Nova Scheduler, so it sends the message to the messaging queue. From there it will redirect to the Nova Schedule. Similarly, if Nova Compute wants to communicate with say Nova Volume, so then it has to send message to the messaging queue, from where it will be redirected to Nova Volume. So therefore, it provides the dashboard. Basically, see, every cloud will provide some interface. Similarly, OpenStack will also provide an interface. We call it as a dashboard, and it is HTTP based. That means just by using your browser, you can access the OpenStack. So from the dashboard, you can decide what services exactly you want to access or you want to avail. Okay, these are all now here. What you are seeing, those are all nothing but the components of OpenStack. Later, I'll explain one by one. Okay, we'll see. If you see OpenStack at nutshell, see, look at this diagram. In the lower layer, you have the standard hardware. In the lowermost layer, you have the hardware. Upon that, you have the OpenStack shared services, and these shared services consists compute, network, and storage services. So that means this OpenStack is providing compute services, storage services, and network services. And to access this, you have something called as the OpenStack dashboard. Using the OpenStack dashboard, you can access compute services, networking services, and storage services. And the upper layer, you have the application. So that means being an end user, you can, so just by using the internet, you can avail all these services. Cloud operating system. See, OpenStack is a cloud-based operating system that controls large pools of compute, storage, and networking resources throughout a data center. So if you have a data center and you will be having three kinds of resources in that, that is compute related resources, networking resources, and storage resources. To control this, you need something called as an centralized software which can control and coordinate. For that purpose, OpenStack provides a software and they call it as cloud based operating system. Okay, so therefore OpenStack is a cloud-based operating system which can control a large pools of compute, storage, and networking resources in a data center, all managed through a dashboard that gives administrators control while empowering their users to provision resources through a web interface. So it provides a dashboard. It's an operating system that provides a dashboard. Using that, an administrator can control all these resources. And OpenStack controls large pools of storage, network, and computing resources throughout a data center and believes in open source, open design, open development, all in an open community that encourages participation by anyone. That means anyone can contribute. Say, for example, today, if you wish to contribute to OpenStack, you can also join that open source group and you can also start downloading their existing code and you can also start contributing. Okay, so there is no restriction, there is no boundary, anyone can contribute. Consists of a series of interrelated projects delivering various components for cloud infrastructure solution. That means to say that OpenStack, under OpenStack there are so many ongoing projects and people are contributing to it. So what are the common attributes? So one is application program interface. So OpenStack has OpenStack API. Each service has three sets of API. If you consider any service under OpenStack, it is having three sets of APIs. One is command language interface. CLI means sorry, yes, command language interface. That is a command prompt service, and the REST is an API to provide web services, and the GUI, that is graphical user interface, that is nothing but the dashboard. So to avail any OpenStack service, these three things are very important. One is command language interface and the REST APIs and the GUI, that is dashboard. Then database, all services store their data on a rational database and internally it will make use of MariaDB. So OpenStack will make use of MariaDB. All the whatever the services that you use and the data will be stored in MariaDB. And it is scalable. Each service support, you can scale it down or you can scale it up. And security and access. Keystone controls all access between the different services. So it will control and coordinate all the access and security between the components. Next is communication. All services are communicating using advanced message queuing protocol. AMQP means advanced message queuing protocol. There is a concept of messaging queues that is called as AMQP, that is advanced message queuing protocol. And the deployments, when it comes to deployment, so every deployment is designed for scalability. So that means once you deploy any application, you can add the features, you can remove the features, and you can scale it. And the deployments can be configured and deployed in many ways. So there are so many ways in which you can. That means the OpenStack provide multiple ways for you to deploy your applications. And the main deployments are, so all-in-one deployment. That means uh, you can deploy multiple applications in at one place, and you can have standalone or multi-node deployments. So standalone deployment means, say for example, you want to test your application and you want to deploy that locally in your laptop. So that is also possible. And partly distributed, if you want to make it partly distributed, partly distributed, that is also possible, and high availability, that is highly available. So as we know that it is having the feature of high availability, OpenStack, your applications will be highly available and it can be scalable. That's the last thing, that is scalable. Now we'll see what are the components of OpenStack. The first component is Cinder. Cinder is the name of the block storage service provided by OpenStack, and it is responsible for block device provisioning for virtual machines. So, what is the meaning of block device provisioning? So that is nothing but allocating required memory to the virtual machines. So when I say virtual machines, it's a package that contains guest operating system along with the applications. So for that guest operating system and the applications, how much memory is required, that will be allocated by Cinder. So that is its responsibility. And it also provides an API for various storage array vendors to manage their block device and translate commands between Nova and other services. See, when we deal with virtual machines, we say that it can be migrated so within the same storage, and also it can be migrated between various storage networks. So for that, say for example, you can migrate it from IBM storage to your own local storage, or say for example, you want to migrate it from your local storage to IBM storage. Okay, say for example, IBM will provide some storage facility. You want to migrate your virtual machine to that. So for that, you need some APIs for that migration. Such APIs are provided by Cinder, and it is best used for performance sensitive scenarios. That means wherever you give very high importance for the application performance. In those scenarios, you can use block storage. That means to say that it is very fast, and so that you can concentrate on performance sensitive scenarios such as database storage or expandable file systems. Okay, and one example is banking applications where the performance is of paramount. Say for example, OTP. So in case of any banking application, we expect OTP to reach your mobile phone within no time. So that means performance is very important. So that's an example for performance sensitive scenario. Next, second component is Extreme IO Cinder driver. It's an Cinder driver by name Extreme IO. Extreme IO provides a way to interact with OpenStack Cinder component. So if you want to interact with Cinder, so there is a driver called as Extreme IO that provides a way to interact with the OpenStack Cinder. Next, Cinder API allows cloud administrators to manage volumes or snapshots and attach or detach them to a virtual machine. See, whenever an administrator wants to deal with the snapshots or attach or detach an virtual machine, so you can make use of the Cinder API. You know why we need snapshots, isn't it? We also saw how to take a snapshots by using VMware ESXi server. So we need a snapshot, and it will be very helpful, especially when you are configuring certain things. So you don't know what contents you have changed in a configuration file. So for that, you can take a snapshot, and you can reuse it for later references. And Extreme IO Cinder driver is developed by XMS plugins team. So there is an open source team called as XMS plugins team. So it is developed by that community. And another third component is Swift. Swift is an one more major important component under OpenStack, and it's an object storage. That means everything will be stored in the form of an object, and it provides an HTTP accessible storage system. That means it can be accessed through HTTP. That is using internet. You can access that for to deal with large amounts of data. So whenever you want to deal with large amounts of data, then you can use this Swift, which is an object storage. And here the objects are stored as binaries along with the stored metadata. So whenever you store data in the form of an object, that will be stored as a binary file along with the metadata. So the meaning of metadata means name of the object, object type, object size, and so on. So, okay, that is called as the metadata. That is data about the object, and it usually stores videos, images, emails, files, or virtual machine images. Okay, these are all things that you can store in Swift. And each object is stored with three replicas to ensure availability and redundancy of data. Say for example, so you have got one very important mail from your boss or from your one of your vendor. Say for example, it's an email related to procurement. You have placed some procurement order, and that's the email you want to store. So when you are storing that, so it will be when you are storing it in Swift, it will store it in three different places, so that even if one copy is lost, you can retrieve it from the another database. Okay, that means it provides for very high availability and redundancy. So redundancy means, so we are storing it in three different places, so hence we have redundancy of data. And it runs on commodity hardware. So the meaning of commodity hardware is commonly used hardware which is economical. That means by having a commonly used commodity hardware, you can deal with Swift. Say for example, your laptop uses commodity hardware, and the desktop system, your desktop system uses commodity hardware. Next is Glance image repository. So there is an service called as a one component called as a Glance. It's an image repository. It will store all the images. OpenStack Image Service acts as a registry for virtual disk images. Users can add new images or take snapshots of an existing server or a virtual machine for immediate storage. Registered images can be stored in the object storage service or in other locations such as simple file systems or external web services. So it's all about providing the repositories to store images. Those images can be anything. Say that can be a snapshot of an virtual machine or of a snapshot of a server or something like that. Let us see what are the supported formats, image types. So as I told, OpenStack also provides APIs to deal with existing cloud platforms. So therefore, you can look at here Amazon kernel, AKI, that's an image type of Amazon kernel, and the RAM disk, AMI or ERI. Okay, these are the file formats supported by OpenStack, and also ISO image. Say for example, VMware follows .iso. Okay, ISO image. That is archival format for optical disks. And look at this RAW. So that's a unstructured format. And VHD, that's a Hyper-V. So that means Microsoft Hyper-V uses VHD, that's the image type. And VMware, Zen, Microsoft, and VirtualBox. So, and that VHD format is also supported by not only by Hyper-V, it is also supported by VMware, Zen, Microsoft, and VirtualBox. And VirtualBox is a product of Oracle. And VMDK. So look at the last one. See, we saw that VMDK format while selecting an guest operating system, while installing an guest operating system by using VMware ESXi server. That's a there. I think there you observed. You might have observed .vmdk file. Next component is Nova Compute. Nova Compute is an OpenStack compute that serves as the core of the OpenStack cloud by providing virtual machines on demand. So the whole purpose of this, the main purpose of this Nova Compute is to provide the virtual machine related services. Compute schedules virtual machines to run on a set of nodes by defining drivers that interact with underlying virtualization machines.
Nova Compute interacts with the identity service to authenticate instances and database accesses. That means simply you cannot access, isn't it? It is always better if the cloud platform is providing certain authentication. So therefore, this Nova Cloud will also provide authentication mechanism using which you can deal with the virtual machines and the databases. So the takeaway from this Nova Compute is basically it provides virtual machines, and also at the same time it will provide on-demand services. Say now you have gone with two virtual machines. At some point of time, if you feel you want two more virtual machines on demand, you can make a request and you can avail it. And also to access the virtual machines, especially the remote virtual machines, it provides the authentication mechanism. You want to access the database, it provides authentication mechanism. And the last component under this OpenStack is libvirt. That is, it's an API that provides virtualization related services. A toolkit. So lib means library. What means virtualization? So that means virtualizing at library level. A toolkit to interact with the virtualization capabilities of recent versions of Linux. So if you consider any recent version releases of Linux that can be virtualized by making use of libvirt, it provides a library using which you can virtualize. Libvirt supports the following virtualization engines. So KVM, so that is a kernel-based virtualization technique, and QEMU Linux virtualizer hypervisor. QEMU is an Linux-based hypervisor, and Zen hypervisor. libvirt, that means libvirt also supports KVM and Zen hypervisor, and also LXC, that's a Linux container system, and a VirtualBox hypervisor. VirtualBox is an hypervisor which is released by Oracle, and the VMware ESX and GSX hypervisors. So that means it will also support for VMware developed hypervisors, and Microsoft, that is Hyper-V, and the IBM Power VM. Just like how the Microsoft is having Hyper-V, IBM is having Power VM. Okay, these are the hypervisors supported by OpenStack by using libvirt. Okay, that's all about OpenStack. So from OpenStack, we understood that like any other cloud, OpenStack also provides compute related services, network related services, and storage related services. And beyond that, it provides an cloud based operating system which provides a dashboard using which you can control all these resources. And another very important thing is that it is supported by more than 500 companies, including IBM, Google, VMware, EMC, and so on. And there are more than 15,000 people who are contributing to this open source project. Okay, and there is no restriction that since it is an open source, everyone who wish to compute can become a member of that open source forum. Okay, that's all about OpenStack. Want to ask anything? Hello? Hello, students. You want to ask anything about OpenStack?
No, sir.
So it's an open source platform, cloud platform, and also it provides an open source cloud level operating system. So instead of calling it as a middleware, just we are calling it as a cloud-based operating system, which you can install at data centers. It's an operating system which can be installed at data center to maintain the resources using a dashboard. Okay, any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Then we will end today's session here itself. In the next class, so next class when it is tomorrow is Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow we will see Microsoft Azure. Okay, and in Friday class we will see the demo on Microsoft Azure. So that demo will be given by my student, sixth semester student. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.